In this video, we're going to talk about our next laboratory exercise, number 6, where we're going to see an example of Fulltick library widgets, which allow us to draw images, basically display pictures of different formats inside our graphical user interface. So this is our handout right here. I'll resize it a little bit, and you can see that the way we're going to approach it, we're going to place FLBox on the user form right here and use a button callback to load a JPEG image and display it inside this box. So the first step in this laboratory is to use laboratory 4, which is an empty window project, to use it as a baseline for this project. Actually, I already have made a copy of Lab 4. Okay, so I already have made a copy and renamed it Lab 6. Of course, I also renamed the name of the project and rename the name of the main file. So right now I already have Visual Studio project copy, and now it's opened. So it becomes quite a routine that in these laboratories we first design our user interface and use Fluid to define what we want to have in our application. To simplify the jumping between the windows, I'll just copy this URL into my Visual Studio internal browser. So I'll just go to Other Windows off of the View menu and open Web Browser right here. I can close my solution window for now and copy and paste this URL. So now we have a description of our lab directly inside Visual Studio. I can use my mouse to adjust the fonts, and we're ready to go with this next challenge, adding widgets and Fluid. So let's start Fluid, which of course is under our lab subfolder structure under external and Fluid. So I'm just starting Fluid, and so the task is to, of course, open the correct project definition, which now is under Lab 6 under Fluid project. So this is brand new copy of the project that I have opened, and I'll just use this path to say File, Open, and provide this new path. Discard the old path and use the new path to Lab 6 and make sure that I open the correct one. Okay, so recall it's an empty window, and of course we can immediately jump and label it Lab 6. Okay, now I can resize this window to adjust its size if I like, and double click to display the properties and change the title of the window. Label, which becomes the title of the window. Okay, so this is our new window, and we want to basically add an empty box to this window design. So let's here click and make actually let's just use the menu structure to add this box. New other box, right? So this is where this thing can be defined, and if you see, it's created with some sort of label inside of it. I'm sure we can remove this label, or we can keep it. So I'll just resize it because it will be the placeholder to display a picture. You know, this label really doesn't make sense, so I'll just remove this label. box can have a label. If you think about Fulltick FLBox widget, it can be used basically for any kind of custom control, and Fulltick treats displaying images as some sort of custom display inside the graphical user interface, because there is no way to load this as a resource instantly. At runtime, we have to open the specific JPEG file in our example, be able to decompress it and be able to display it. So there's like, multiple steps involved. So therefore we have to start with something very basic and eventually make it display something interesting in there. Okay, so we're going to rename the box. So this box we're going to rename, and add this to the properties, of course, in C++. Once again, this is properties of this FLBox that is currently selected here, right? So this is FLBox, and its property C++. The name of it becomes box JPEG image. Okay, so we close that. And the next thing is that we're going to add 2 buttons. The button I think that I have a typo on this line. It says add button and say button show text. I think it's a copy and paste result from previous lab. We really just need one button right here, that is show JPEG. So I apologize for this typo right here. So let's display widget bin, or we can just say new button. Okay, so we can just use the menu item. And the button is added right here. I'll drag and drop it somewhere to the bottom of this form. We'll resize it a little bit, and we'll call the name of this button btn_show JPEG, and the label will be show JPEG. Okay, so that we know that we'll be displaying JPEG images. So we have this box and this button, so they're both present on this form. So it's time to save this definition, and of course we also need to be able to write code. So the header file, implementation file for creation of these widgets already written. So we can close this, and for now I'll just minimize this fluid window. And we're ready to do the usual plumbing with callback functions.